Should you upgrade to the Z Fold 5 from the Z Fold 2? Now, that's my question for you guys on today. Now, for most of you, it's probably a no-brainer. Of course, you're going to upgrade to the Z Fold 5 or the Z Fold 3 or the Z Fold 4. So anything higher than this, for some of you or a lot of you, could be a definite upgrade. To some, it may be just an update. It depends on you. Everybody's needs is different. What some considers an upgrade and update is different, from person to person. Now, for me, I'm more than satisfied with the Z Fold 2. Now, there's a few reasons for that. First of all, this is not my main device. Now, for some person out there that this is going to be your main device, then you want to make sure everything is top tier. If you're that type of person, I don't know. Now, so when it comes to the cameras, I don't need these cameras to be top tier. Why? Because it's not my main device. I got a ton of phones that got better cameras than these. And I always keep a great camera phone in my pocket. And the one that I never take out my pocket, never change SIMs, is my Note 20 Ultra. The cameras on that device are great for me. Now, to some people, they need the S22, S23, they need that, but to each his own. The cameras on my Note 20 Ultra are good enough for me. First of all, I don't even take pictures like that. Honestly, I very seldom take photos or shoot video. So it's not the biggest deal, but when that big deal arises, if I go to a special function, whether it be family, whether it be going out with the wife, then I want a device that has a great camera. So this not being my main device, not a big deal, so I don't care about the cameras. I really don't. I got this because I just wanted a folding device with a bigger outer display from that of the original Galaxy Fold. Now, when it comes to IP, water, dust resistance, or whatever, I don't need that. My phone is not going to be near any water. That's not a need for me. Next thing, do I need the S Pen? Absolutely not. I already have the Note 20 Ultra, I already have an S Pen. And for me, I don't use the S Pen that much. I use the S Pen very, very, very rarely. So I'm not a big S Pen user, even though I love the S Pen. I love the convenience of having it in case I need it for something that is very precise. So that's not a big deal. All right. What about 120 hertz on the outer display? Because you have that on the newer folds, and I'm talking specifically about the Z Fold 5, okay? Even though it's on the Z Fold 4 and the Z Fold 3. But do I need 120 hertz on outer display? No. You may say, why? First of all, I don't use the outer display that much because the phone is too narrow on the front. The front display is just too narrow. So I don't need 120 hertz on the outer display for that specific reason. Not a big deal for me. All right. So pretty much everything else, this device does everything that those other devices do. The 3, the 4, and the 5. The only difference is, you don't have the water resistance. You don't have the S Pen capability, so they say. About to prove that wrong in another day or so. And also the IP, water, dust resistance, and also the better cameras. Now, of course, you're going to get a better processor with the newer devices. And also, you're going to get longer software support. So this one is no longer receiving any more software support. It is still receiving security updates. But by the end of this year, no more security updates at all. This will not have any type of, support at all. And for some people, that's a big deal. They want security patches. They need the latest and greatest software updates. I don't. Not a big deal to me. I have a lot of older phones that I still use on a regular basis that don't have any support at all. I have no issues with them whatsoever. No security issues, no performance issues. So that's not a big deal for me. But it may be a big deal for you. So let me just give you some reasons that you may need to upgrade, but you may not. So let me go through them real quick. All right. Do you need better cameras? That's the first question. Depending on you. If you're a person that takes a lot of, like I said, takes a lot of photos and videos, and these cameras are just not up to snuff, then you should consider the Z Fold 5. Next, do you need water resistance? Keep in mind, the Z Fold 3, the Z Fold 4, and the Z Fold 5 have IPX water resistance. Now, no dust resistance, but water resistance. So if you're a type of person that's around a whole lot of water, or you're a person that's in it, want to be in the shower, want the phone in the shower with you, or, washing dishes, you have your phone everywhere and it could be near water, or if you're outside, you get caught in a rainstorm of your person that works outside, you may need water resistance. Me, I don't. Number 3, do you need the S Pen? Now, if you're a heavy S Pen user, then yes, you want to get a phone with, S Pen capability. Now, like I said, I got something coming tomorrow, and I'll do a video on that when that comes. I'm not going to mess with that right now. But if you're a heavy S Pen user, you may want to consider a phone that has S Pen capabilities like the Z Fold 3 up to the Z Fold 5. But keep this in mind. Does not come with the S Pen in the box. You're going to have to spend money to buy the S Pen. Keep that in mind. Number 4, do you need a slightly wider outer display? Now, of course, Samsung did not put a wider display on the Z Fold 3, but they did it with the Z Fold 4. What they did was, see that bezel right there? They just eliminated that little bezel. Look at that. That's not a whole lot wider, honestly. See this bezel? They just cut that back a little bit. What's that, a half an inch, maybe? So it really is not that big of a deal, honestly. Now if they cut it back like more, like this whole thing right here, then maybe that would be considered a lot more drastic. But honestly, come on, it's really not that much wider when you really think about it. So, but if it's gonna feel a little wider to you and you want to go with that, then you want to upgrade to the Z Fold 5. Number 5, do you need future software support? For some people, that is important. That is a necessity. That's not the case for everybody. Everybody don't need software support, security patches. They just don't. They'd rather spend less money, which is what you're going to spend for this, way less money, and your phone is going to run fine. It's not going to have any issues. I know I don't have any issues with this, and this is heavily in my rotation. But I'm only speaking for myself. I'm not speaking for others. But if you need future software support, you may want to consider the Z Fold 5, because you're going to get 4 years of OS updates and 5 years of security patches. Number 6, do you need the fold flat? Now, this is something that honestly irritates me. Okay, you see this little gap here, right? Why does people care so much if the phone folds flat, like completely flat? I don't care, and I've never cared about that. Why? It's just not a big deal, honestly. Now, people say, oh, you can get dirt and stuff in there. Listen, I've had this phone now for 2 years. No dust, no debris, no issues whatsoever. The fact that this doesn't fold flat, it hasn't been an issue for me. I just never understood why so many YouTubers made such a big deal about the phone folding completely flat. I don't get it. Now, to each his own. That's not a big deal for me, honestly. I could care less. I never even thought about the fact that this phone didn't fold completely flat. It was never an issue, and I don't care, and I still don't care to this day. Honestly, now I'm not saying you shouldn't care. I mean, like I said, everybody's different. Everybody has their reasons, for feeling the way they feel when it comes to certain things with their phones. So to each his own, but I could care less about the phone folding flat. But if you do, If you do care, if that's a big deal, then you want to get the Z Fold 5. Number 7, do you need 120 hertz on the outer display? Like I said before earlier, no for me, absolutely not an issue, because I very seldom use the outer display. And the reason why I don't use it as much because it's too narrow. A lot of things that I need to see, a lot of things I need to do is just not big enough. But you may want 120 hertz in the outer display as well. So if you do, you may want to consider the Z Fold 3, the 4, and the 5. Number 8, excuse me. Do you need an under display inner camera? Now, as we know, you can't see it with this because of you could barely see it because of this particular wallpaper, but I actually have a hole punch for my inner camera. Now, I think starting with the Z Fold 3, yes, they tried to hide the camera underneath the display. Didn't do that good of a job with the 3, but they did a better job with the 4. But all I keep hearing is that the images that come out of that camera are not very good. And I've seen some, and they look pretty bad. Not sharp, not clear, blurry, not good at all. Now, would you rather settle for a little hole punch and you get clear, crisp, sharp photos from your inner display? If you do, then you want to stick with the Z Fold 2. But if you don't want to see no type of camera cutout at all, then you want to upgrade to the Z Fold 3 through 5. For me, I'd rather have the cutout. Don't bother me at all. Number 9, do you need the latest chipset and processor? Okay, so this came out in 2020. So, of course, it has the Snapdragon 865. So, it was an older processor. But I will say this, I have no issues when it comes to this device, when it comes to performance. Everything runs very, very well. No problem whatsoever. None whatsoever. It's still fast. It still flows. No performance issues whatsoever. Just let me go back to my scrolling. No problems. 120 hertz. Performance is not an issue with this device at all. And it has a 3-year-old processor in it. Like I said, it runs like a champ. No issues. But for you may need a newer processor, chipset. And number 10. Now, this is for some people. It's a lot of people like this. Do you need the latest and the greatest? It doesn't matter if they only improved one thing or two things. You're the type of person that needs the latest and the greatest. If you're that type of person, of course, it's a no-brainer to upgrade to the Z Fold 5. Complete necessity for somebody that needs the latest and the greatest. You need them bragging rights. You get in them phone wars, you need them bragging rights. I hear you. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Everybody's different. Me, of course, I don't need the latest and greatest. Most times, I be getting phones that are a year or 2 years old. So, I don't. I really don't. There was a time when I did, and I felt like I needed it. But for me, smartphones have really plateaued. There's really hardly any innovation anymore, honestly. It really isn't. The innovation has seemed to really gone out the window since LG left the building. LG was a very innovative company, more so than anybody else out there. Even though with some they failed, but with some they improved, and also a lot of other manufacturers took a lot of LG's innovation and put it on their own phones. So it's really unfortunate that LG was forced to get rid of their smartphone division. And a lot of that was their fault, bad marketing, very, very late very slow and late on software support. And sometime when they got a design or they got something right, then they would turn around and change it. So they kind of doomed themselves to a certain degree. But they were very innovative. Nowadays, Samsung, they don't innovate anymore. They just basically just putting small little updates on their devices, taking away a lot of features, really not improving in areas they should improve. Other companies are, but I'm talking about just strictly innovation. There's nobody really putting anything out there that's innovative. Now, the only thing that's out there now that's somewhat innovative, and it's cool, but it's not for everybody, is the Nothing phone. First of all, the name is terrible, but you got the glyph lights on the back, which is cool. Some gaming phones put a little display on the back, like the ROG, I believe 6. They have the little display on the back where you can get your notifications and different things like that. But that's pretty much it. It's just seems like it's just about improving the cameras and just trying to make the phones faster. Really, I mean, just no innovation. So for me, mostly phones have plateaued. I'm pretty much bored, honestly, with most. So I have a lot of older phones that I still enjoy because I feel like I'm getting value and I'm getting things that I still enjoy, especially like expandable storage. Not saying that's innovative, but it's something that I really, enjoy and need in a lot of aspects because I really store a lot of things on my device. But I'm wrapping up this video now. If you need the Z Fold 5, like I said, if you need better cameras, if you need water resistance, if you need the S Pen, if you need a wider outer display, if you need future software updates and security patches, if you need the fold flat, if you need 120 Hz in the outer display, if you need under display camera on the inner display, do you need the latest chipset, and do you need the latest and greatest? If you need all of those things, or the majority of them, upgrade to the Z Fold 5 or the 3 or the 4. Those are your options, but you're going to pay a lot less money for the Z Fold 2. I will not be upgrading to the Z Fold 5 because I don't think it's worth it at all. Now, the 4, I don't really think it's a real upgrade for the 4 unless, like I said, unless you need better cameras. But for the most part, this phone does everything those phones do. Only thing, I don't have, the greatest cameras, and I don't have water resistance. I don't care about the S Pen. Okay, but that's it. I mean, seriously, this device, for our software, does everything those other devices do, but I pay a whole lot less money. I got Samsung DeX. I got the taskbar. I can multitask 3 apps and even 4. So, I mean, this does everything I needed to do. Don't have the best cameras. That's about it. The performance on here is great as well. So, and of course, I have a beautiful display. So, I'm good. But if you need those things that I mentioned, you should definitely consider the Z Fold 3 up to the Z Fold 5. All right, you all. Thank you for taking the time to view this content. I do appreciate it. Hope everybody out there is staying safe, staying well, and I'll check you guys out in the next one. Peace.